Hey guys, and today we're going to delve deep into the controversy of whether or not Glaz is any good. Now, the question of whether or not he's any good is very controversial because a lot of people hate him and a lot of people like him. The issue with Glaz is that a lot of players, they sit back and they don't do anything for their team except for try to get watch out on the right. And this can be useful to a certain extent, but when their team's getting absolutely demolished, there is no reason not to be going in there. And so a lot of people are biased against Glaz for that reason. And while this is certainly a credible bias, there's still things that make it untrue, because there are a lot of good Glaz players. And when I say good Glaz players, I don't mean ones that just try to get kills. I mean ones that are actually helping their team. And the way that they do this is that they actually go in when the time is right. They play Glaz on the right maps, because if he's not used on the correct maps, he's gonna do poorly, because certain maps are catered to close range and some are catered to long range, and some are catered to both. So he just has to, he can't adapt to situations as easily. But like I said earlier, he can poke the enemy in the eye before they even know what hit them, before you even breach, because you can get a kill, like for example on the plane map, before they even know what's happening. And of course, a lot of people think he's selfish because of his gadget, which is only really a sight. But the thing is, when he's used in conjunction with other players, he can become incredibly good for teamwork. Something that a lot of people don't realize about him, because a lot of people aren't playing Glaz correctly. And of course, Glaz doesn't have an essential gadget like Thatcher with his EMP grenades, or with even Thermite with his ability to breach through reinforced walls. But what makes Glaz so good is that when people are playing him correctly, and when they know when to use him and how to use him in those situations, they can absolutely demolish everyone. And that needs to be taken into account every time you play Glaz, when you're choosing him and then afterwards, because you might have to go into close range when obviously you're meant for long range. So things are circumstantial. And that goes back to why he's mostly good with teammates. Because sometimes, for example, Glaz can't even shoot through a wall. People have to breach it for him, and then he can shoot through. And it makes for an amazing gameplay experience. And it's quite good when used in conjunction with a breach, because you're distracting them, you're taking out their forces, and it's very good. And it gives your team a great advantage, because now people can start pushing in, they can start moving to the objective. It's very effective. And that's why using him with teammates is one of the best ways to use Glaz. But there's some ways that you should not be using him. For example, as I said earlier, just sitting back until all of your team is dead, and then just staying out there. Not even trying to move to the objective, just trying to get kills and keep your KDR up. One of the things that makes people resentful of Glaz is the fact that some people don't even help their teammates. They're not even pushing into the objective. And teamwork is the essential framework of Rainbow Six Siege. Without it, you're not going to do well. And so keeping these issues in mind, I would like to talk about how you can do well with Glaz, and give you some tips so that you'll do well and your teammates won't hate you. He's injured though. So obviously, the first thing you need to know when you're using an operator is what their skill is. Now Glaz is a sniper. That should be fairly apparent to you. But a lot of people don't seem to know this, because they just rush in. They don't use him like a sniper. You need to sit back for a moment at least and try to assess the situation. You need to try to get some kills, possibly, and then you help your team. And then for the second part, when you try to help your team, you can't go in guns blazing, because it's not going to get you anywhere. What Glaz is limited to, what he's mostly good at, is long range, obviously, because he's a sniper. So what you need to do, even in close range encounters, is you need to make the distance between you and your enemy a little bit farther, so that you're going to have the upper hand. The way that you do this is you generally wait for people to peek, unless you have a limited amount of time. And you're not going to be good by just rushing in. Of course, in certain circumstances, you might have to rush in because of a limited amount of time, but that's not something that you're going to want to do most of the time. He doesn't have as much push ability as many of the other operators, because his weapons aren't automatic or they're not shotguns. But what you can do if you want to do well is you can use drones, because you can use the drone that Glaz has. He has an extra drone to use when he spawns. You can use that drone to get an upper hand when you're pushing in. And so that sort of counter-affects the fact that he's not very good for pushing. So, in most general terms, you want to just distance yourself, and you want to aim with crosshair
Actually, there's
placement,
no way he should have been
and
able to
you want to move around a
You can
bit
break
as
through
well.
right there.
What I mean by that is
What
you
the
don't have to stay in the same
That was
place all the
awesome!
time, because people will. Now, a lot of this advice has to do with a lot of operators other than Glaz, but still, it's especially true for Glaz, because Glaz needs more skill, because you're not going to just spray down range and get a kill or a headshot automatically. You need to aim a little bit more, and you need to be a little bit more strategic if you're playing him correctly. Now, another important thing to discuss is how to help your teammates, and a lot of people don't know how to help their teammates with Glaz. They think they're helping by shooting through windows. But if you get inside, you're going to be more useful in certain situations. Because if you're just shooting through the window and they already know that you're shooting through the window, you're not going to get any kills because everybody's proning or something. So after at most a minute, I'd say, you're going to want to go in and help your team and assist them for whatever objective you have. And when you're doing that, it's going to be incredibly important to follow the advice that I've given you already so that you can do better, because it's harder to fight in close range as Glaz. So a good balance of teamwork and skill is needed if you're going to want to play Glaz to help your team. And so I think that in summary, Glaz is very good, but you have to use him circumstantially and with teamwork and with skill. So you have to use all of these tactics together in order to play with teamwork. So I hope you guys liked this video reviewing Glaz, and tell me if you'd like more of these. I know I was sort of hopping around everywhere for Glaz, but anyway, I hope you liked it. So see you guys next video.
It's on site.